All right, ladies, and maybe some gentlemen watching and tuning in through Facebook, YouTube, and different platforms we are now streaming. Today, I have the honor and the privilege of introducing one of my dear, dear friends that's going to be talking about radical self-care and true wellness here on the Cool Chick Cafe. So super excited to be here. And without any further ado, I already see some of you are tuning in to watch. You can put comments. We'll see your comments on here as well. So super, super excited to be here. So please do not hesitate and put in any comments on the chat throughout the whole call. So I have with me Dr. Lisa Young. She is a doctor. She's been a medical director in New York. She's dealt with so many different areas of practice in terms of medicine. She's dealt with it all. And she's also a certified life coach. She's been with the Cool Chick since the very beginning. She was one of our first, especially throughout the whole pandemic. It was really impressive how she handled everything. She was a point of support for every single one of us. And what I love about Lisa and her medical experience and expertise, she will share her medical knowledge without opinion. She won't tell you what to do. She won't make decisions for you, which is awesome because you can make your own decisions for yourself. One of the things that I think is really awesome when we connected so deeply at a level is that she not only looks at medicine and being a doctor from the stereotypical point of view, but she's got a very holistic approach. She looks at every single area of your mind, body, and soul. And she's more looking into preventing anything from happening, anything bad, and more looking at, wellness. And as we're going to talk about today, radical self-care and true wellness. And we're going to ask her, what does that mean? She really, one of the things I've been most impressed on a personal level is Lisa. You've been incredible, example of the teacher living the teachings, where you have walked the talk 1,000,000%. Like, oh my goodness, throughout the years that I've known you, you are a new person, and you will definitely be a new person in the next 3 years. And so it's been such a beautiful journey. It's had its ups and downs, and at the end of the day, you are definitely living the radical self-care and true wellness every single day and being an example for us all. So let's jump onto this. And why did you pick radical self-care and true wellness?
See, am I muted?
You are unmuted. You're good. I've just been managing the mic because I could hear my echo. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Dr. Lisa Young.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining, either if you're joining live or just watching on the Facebook repeat. And so I chose radical self-care and true wellness because that's what's been coming up for me, right? Like, I am a family medicine doctor. We're all about prevention. I thought I knew about self-care before. Honestly, I think we all know about it. We've heard about self-love, self-care plenty of times now, enough to know that it's important here. And then only recently have I really truly like integrated it and embodied it to a level where I'm like, oh, this is what it is. And this is what actually makes a real difference. And so I'm anticipating, since these coffee breaks are only 30 minutes, we really want to keep the time integrity. We know it's in the middle of the business day. This will be a multi-part series. And the first part, even though most of us already know this in theory, like I'm saying, is focusing on the why. Why is self-care and true wellness so important? And I'm really taking the time. This may sound super basic, but I'm really taking the time to focus on this and address certain common beliefs or even misconceptions about self-care and wellness now up front, so that we can establish a foundation upon which we can then build strategies or figure out how we might approach it for each individual person. And without this really true belief on why it's important, then the likelihood that we will follow through and actually take the actions to take care of ourselves is much lower. And I'm saying that from my own personal experience, even though I'm a doctor, even though I talk about self-love and self-care all the time, it wasn't until recently that I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it was, and this is what I've been missing. So I would love to welcome the people that are in the green room live so we can have an interactive talk.
Yeah, so we have a few ladies joining us from the Cool Chick Cafe, and will join us on here. I don't know, Annika, if you can unmute yourself if you're connecting to your microphone, to just check on that. And we also have Diane. So let's bring in Diane. Yeah. Hi, Diane.
Hello.
How are you doing? Are you excited about this topic?
I am very much looking forward to it.
Amazing. And Lisa, while we're bringing on Annika, could you clarify? You said that it may seem simple, it may seem basic, but why do you say it seems like it, but it's not?
Well, because I think if we said, is self-care important, I imagine that most people on the call would say, yes, self-care is important. And so in that way, it may be simple, but in terms of actually executing, actually like implementing and embodying it and applying it to your life on a consistent basis where it's making the difference and leading to true wellness, that is a whole nother step. That's a whole nother aspect of it that actually is not necessarily easy. And I mean, you were saying, Jessica, how far I've come, and now I'm living, what I'm teaching, and really loving myself so much more than I ever have, taking care of myself so much more than I ever have, like living my best life, and literally like I can't even, like, happier and more fulfilled and like more joyful than I've ever been in my whole life. And it wasn't always this way, right? Like not that long ago, I remember like literally laying in bed, like in the middle of the day, and not being able to get out of bed because I was so burned out and I just didn't know what else to do. I felt stuck. I was, the things I like to do, I didn't really feel like doing anymore.
And you've known this stuff, and you've studied it, and right, ladies, I got Annika and Diane here. Like, have you ever felt like that too? Hands up for that, right?
Don't do it. Yes.
Know it and don't do it, and it could be tough. It could be tough. So super happy to be here. Thank you so much, Lisa, to share all your tips and tricks, because honestly, you are been I'd say one of the handful of people, if not you and Sandra, I think, really illustrate this in your life and apply it and are such role models for us. And it's not this fake thing of like, oh yeah, I'm always happy, I'm always perfect, I'm always, self-care and true wellness. I mean, like you just said, we have our moments, ups and downs. It's just how fast you shift them, and you grow, and you've grown so much. So thank you so much for putting this on.
Yes, I think this is so important because I see the huge difference that's made in my life now, and I want everyone else to be able to experience that. Everyone else to be able to go through whatever challenges life may throw at you and know how to take care of yourself first and to fill yourself up in a way where then you're able to maneuver through life and create a life that you love and love your life no matter what's going on around you. So I would love to hear from the ladies on the call. And actually, let's say anybody who's tuning in, type on the comments, and maybe the ladies on the call, from a scale of like 1 to 10, let's say like 1 is like you're basically doing no self-care, and 10, your optimal self-care all the time. You're tuning into your body, really listening to what you need and taking care of it whenever you need. Where would you say your level of self-care is right now? I think for me, I'll answer while you guys are typing in or sharing. Mine is about an 8, which I'm very happy to say, and that's taken a lot of work. It probably before would be like a 4. So how about you guys?
I'm at probably about a 7 or an 8 right now, but I think about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was 3 weeks ago, I was probably at a 3 to 4, and I didn't know until it was coming out sideways. Like I was getting really short-tempered with my partner who I love, and I kept looking at the relationship and I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on between us? And instead I took literally 5 days and did whatever the frick I wanted. And I came back and I was like, I love you again. And I was so much more even keeled. And it's like I have this idea that I'm being selfish if I take that much time. And the reality is I'm just like way better to be around when I take that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's nobody to be with if you're completely empty, right?
Yes.
You have to get filled up.
So Diane, where would you say your
Yeah.
level?
So I typed in a 6. I'm not sure if I'm in the private chat. I don't know if that's right or not, but yeah, I'd put myself at a 6. I am in the middle of a really big life change this year, going from corporate America to retirement, and I'm struggling with that. I really enjoy the rest part, but I still beat myself up for resting. So kind of stay in that dynamic of trying to learn to just enjoy it and be at ease with it, because it really is a gift, to not have to be on a schedule and be able to do what I want when I want it, like these calls.
Yes. Well, I'm so happy that you're joining. And it's something that you brought up. It reminds me, for me, the past couple of weeks, the reason why I'm at level 8 now and feeling so good is because I finally gave myself permission.
Yeah.
Like permission to rest if my body's telling me to do so. Permission to play, which is something I've never done in my life, actually.
Yeah, let's learn together. I am awful at playing.
Permission to have fun. And like Annika said, permission to have time to yourself if that's what you need.
Yeah.
And so quickly, I would love for you guys to chime in. Like, why do you guys think that self-care is important? And then I'll jump into a little bit more myself. Jessica?
Yes, sorry, I had just been off camera for 2 seconds, but getting my charger. But yeah, if I would grade myself and why do I think is important? Lately, like to be honest, the past few weeks I've been pretty low. And, we did the Self Summit. Like, it's not like I don't know about this stuff. And I kind of went down a rut. And it's very interesting is the distinction between resting and radical self-care and true wellness, right? You can think like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching feel-good movies. And I'm kind of like taking time, resting. There's a nuance, at least for me, there are moments I need to rest and actually rest. But there are moments where I use it as an escape and as a numbing mechanism. And it's very interesting to look at that shift. And for me, I think is the important for me right now is really the true wellness and the radical self-care, which may sometimes mean not resting, actually getting shit done, excuse my French, right? It's like, and then I'll feel good. It's like a nice reward, or going for a run, or getting up, going for a swim. And I've been doing that this weekend. I went for a swim, get some sun, so done a lot of things. And I think it's important to answer your question on just to live our life. Like we are here to live life, not survive, not to go with the flow, we're here to create whatever impact it is. If it's being a good mom, or being a good wife, or being a happy person, whatever feels right, where you're in your joy, where you're in that centeredness, when you're in that like, right? Or whatever those primary feelings. I love Sandra's book, The Power of Ouch, where she talks about, our primary feelings, where do we want to be? Whatever that is, that's what we're supposed to be at. Not supposed to, but it's worth it to be a better person, to influence others, create a difference, and have a beautiful life. I think it's a question of, it sounds ridiculous maybe, but it's a question of life and death.
Yes. Thank you. You brought up several points that I wanted to share and really emphasize. because the reason why I call this radical self-care and not just self-care and true wellness is because there is definitely a difference, right? There's a difference between just surviving and thriving. So when we're just barely getting by, doing the bare minimum, so maybe we can stay up that minute longer to like finish whatever we need to get done, versus actually taking care of ourselves in a way where our cups are full and overflowing, and we're actually really able to give the best of ourselves to everyone and not the rest of ourselves, right? One of the very most common things that I hear from people when I say, okay, you need, like when I tried talking about self-care, it's like, oh, but I have too many people I have to take care of, right? Or like, it's so much easier to take care of other people first and then forgo our own self-care. And yet the whole point of that is that this is so important that like healer must heal thyself first, right? And I've learned that myself the hard way, because especially as a doctor, it's so easy. I can see more and more patients, take care of my friends and family, and then all of a sudden it gets to a point where I can't anymore, because I literally got to the point where I could not get out of bed. And so that's an extreme example, but the idea that without taking care of yourself, you're not necessarily able to take care of others. And so therefore, actual true wellness is filling your cup up so well and taking care of yourself so well. And we'll talk about how in the next section or next time, that you're able to not only, I would argue, save time, save money, save energy, and help even more people, right? And so just quickly going around, if I were to tell you guys right now, you need to do more self-care, what are the first thoughts that you come up? Or it's really important for you to do more self-care. Let's say the next month, I invite you to do more self-care. What are the first thoughts that come up in terms of that might make you hesitate or might make you not actually implement what you know, I think we've all established is important?
Oh, I immediately go to grading myself, because if I set it like I need to do more, well, then I have to evaluate how well am I doing at my self-care to do more self-care. And it just becomes like it's trying to stay away from that so that I can actually, engage in it without judging myself.
And actually, thank you, Diane. That reminds me too, sometimes we can approach life and even self-care as a to-do list, right? Sometimes it can be like, oh, well, I need to do this. So this is a box that I need to check off. And the moment we do that, then it's less about, then it becomes another task added to our list, as opposed to something that's filling our cup, which the activity, the self-care task that you may do that may fill you up at any given moment could be different. So you could decide that I need to do that I need to walk today, but actually what you really need was meditating. But if you're just checking off that box to check it off, is it really self-care, or are you just creating another task for yourself? And so that's something I had to learn too, to drop in and feel into it, as opposed to just doing it and then saying, okay, I'm done, so now I must feel better, right? And then no. How could you really feel after checking that off? Annika, was there something you wanted to share? What comes up for you when I'm like, okay, it's important for you to do more self-care? Any resistance that comes up?
Yeah, like my first resistance is like, if I do any more, then I'm a selfish, terrible human being. Like I'm already pushing the edges. When you mentioned having troubles playing, like I don't have any trouble with that. Like I play so much that I'm like, if I do more, I won't be paying attention to the people I love. But then I reminded myself, my next response to myself was like, first off, part of my self-care that I sometimes forget about is actually like cutting something out. So like watching my social media consumption can be a part of my self-care, or omitting, foods that are kind of draining me can be a part of my self-care. So it doesn't have to be like an energetic ad. It can be actually creating more space. As well as I'm an extrovert in a lot of ways. And so social time is one of the things that really fills up my cup. And I notice if I don't have varied social time, then my cups aren't full. So self-care doesn't have to be alone time, which sometimes I forget. I think self-care is when I'm alone, but self-care for me is actually also, like a lunch date with a girlfriend.
Thank you for sharing that. And definitely we'll talk next time much more about different ways of self-care, different categories of self-care, and all those things. And what you're saying is so important, because we often think self-care is selfish. And one of the things that I want to say now is that it's the least selfish thing that you can do. And in terms of, even you said earlier, Annika, like the difference between how you were with your partner before you did the self-care and then after, right? Like that's just one example that you brought up, and that was at the forefront of your mind of how we treat our others when we're depleted. Whether it be talking to our friends or family or dealing with a conflict or at work, right? Like it changes drastically. And the other thing, and I'm just mindful of the time, I want to take all of this even a step further and say that not taking care of yourself is also bad for your health, right? I think Jessica had said like life and death before. I think the moment that we think, and we sometimes can treat self-care as a luxury, almost like, oh, if I have time, I will do it. Oh, when I'm less busy, less stressed, less fill in the blank, then I'll take care of then I'll take care of myself more. But really, the more stressed, the more deadlines you have, the more conflicts you have going on in your life, the more challenges, the more self-care you actually need, right? Because in terms of physiology, and talking about that for a little bit, when your body is in that fight or flight mode, right, you have all sorts of hormones coursing through your body, adrenaline and cortisol and all these things, that if you continue to have it at this high level, as we're all animals, right? Like as human beings, we will crash. And then if we try to continue to do this level and push and push and push and not bring our nervous systems down to a level where we're taking care of ourselves, where we're not producing all of these stress hormones, then that's what leads to burnout. That's what leads to then illnesses, right? All these stress hormones, we take it for granted. We might not notice it as it's happening, but longer term, they raise our blood pressure. They raise our sugar levels, can cause digestive issues, headaches, chronic pain, all of these things that I see patients come to me for. And at that point, often when we start to treat self-care as a luxury, then that's when we start to give it away, right? We start to take less and less care of ourselves. And that's when I see patients coming to me and say, okay, I have this problem. I want a pill for it. And I say, wait, hold on, because the pill is just a Band-Aid, right? And so then I see it happen all the time. And then you're stressed and you feel like you need to be more alert and more focused. And so you drink more caffeine or your Monster drink or your stimulants, right? And then you're so hyped up throughout the day and you're adding all these uppers, right? Stimulants in your body. And then later you can't sleep. And then if you can't sleep, okay, now I need a pill for that. So now I need something like a sleep aid, or I need some wine or alcohol to unwind at the end of the day, right? And so you're having your body go these extreme highs and extreme lows, which that's not just on a day-to-day basis. Now imagine that that's going on a longer term basis. Now you start to have high blood pressure. Now you start to have diabetes. Now you need more medication. So so when I was talking about wellness, there's 4 categories, I would say: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And then so physically, right, you're having all these changes, you're needing the stimulants and the depressants, and then you might need painkillers for your headaches, or you might need medications for indigestion for your stomach, right? Because of how the physiology works, it disrupts your whole system. And then after that, if it's longer term, then physically you may need to treat more chronic conditions, right? If you had taken the time, I would argue, to really take care of yourself and do the maintenance that you might do on a longer term basis on your car, for example, right? then you wouldn't get to necessarily that level. And then sometimes taken to even further extreme, then emotionally, right, is another category where you might start to feel anxious or even have panic attacks, and then depression, and then want or need medications for that. And so I wanted to really dive into today, focusing on how this is so important, and all of these things are so wrapped up that prevention is really key here. And imagine how much time and energy and money you would save on your health, on not having to recover after you crash, right? If you're pulling all-nighters or burning out and things like that, if you actually address it from the beginning and are coming from a place of truly being well, as opposed to just barely getting by. And so I noticed that we are out of time, and so I want to honor everybody's time, and we will be doing another part 2 and continue the discussion and go maybe continue a little bit or summarize why this is so important, and then talk about more how do we actually make this happen in our lives, because some of the things that we shared already is that we don't have the time for it. How can we fit it in? What do we actually do? What about our loved ones? And so we'll be addressing all of that on future calls.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa. And thank you, Annika. Thank you, Diane, for joining us. Really appreciate you being on live with us. Can't wait to see you on our next calls. And so thank you, ladies. Also, Lisa, before we go, how can people connect with you, and when will be next time where we'll be live? And do you offer strategy sessions? Can people reach out to you? Is there somewhere on social media that we can talk to you? Like, what's the best way?
Thank you. So the next call, right now we're doing it every 4th Monday. If that changes, we'll let you know. So the next one will be Monday, I believe it's June 28th. And we'll put it out there as well. And in terms of where people can find me, I have an Instagram. It's at Young Doc. And then also I have a private Facebook group where I will be sharing so much more content, all the tips and tools and resources, and also give workshops through there to really, because this has changed my life, honestly, and this is why I want everyone else to be able to learn and live their best lives too. And through there, you can also see a link to schedule an intro call with me if you are interested in a little bit more personalized one-on-one coaching, which is something I also really love, to connect with people and really hone in on what it is that will help them individually on that one-on-one level.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Oh, looks like I'm breaking up a little bit, not sure. But I really appreciate you, Lisa. Please join Lisa's Facebook group. Please reach out to her on Instagram and connect. Highly, highly recommend it. I cannot wait to hear for our next part, knowing exactly what are the practical tips and tricks to have more radical self-care and true wellness. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa Young. Any final words?
It's that you are worth it, basically. We are all worth it, and we deserve to really love and take care of ourselves. And the moment we do that, actually, it's amazing how beautiful life really becomes.
Amen. Thank you so much. Take care, ladies. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you real soon. This was Dr. Lisa Young on the Cool Chick Cafe. Make sure you join the cafe as well, so for more amazing tips and tricks and amazing connection with our soul sisters, our cool chicks on the cafe, where you have a ton of content, recordings, and courses, happy hours, coffee breaks, a bunch of amazing things where we get together online. So reach out to Dr. Lisa Young. Make sure you're a member of the Cool Chick Cafe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.